was other one he asked me to
Live
replace. I
streaming
think
is on.
my SQLI DB. He asked me to replace it with my SQLI.
And did that work?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
that worked. Yes,
yeah, so that's great. So if anybody had any challenge, can you walk through the MySQL option again? So I'm sure other people had that problem, so that everybody can hear how they solve it.
I should go again.
Yeah, just state what you did again, so that
Okay,
everybody.
I had issue while I was trying to install some packages, and the error was saying something that has to do with user permission. So I should update my what's it called, my pip. So I try updating my pip with this command pip install update. Honestly, I can't remember, but I tried
Mhm.
updating my pip. Then on it stopped working. I could not use the command any longer. So I had to uninstall my Python and reinstall another one because they say from Python 3 point something 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 automatically comes with pip, so you don't have to install them separately. So I had to reinstall. Then after I reinstalled, I still had to upgrade the the pips. Then I used the user flag to ignore user permission whatsoever. I don't know, to forcefully to forcefully upgrade the pip actually. So after then, I was able to download most of the packages, but
Yeah.
still I couldn't download two. It was still giving me some error. Then I asked the facilitator, and he asked me to to change my SQLI DB to my SQLI instead. So that's all.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I believe everybody got that. Mr. Michael, you have your hand raised, right?
So,
All right. Good morning.
so uh, about the assignment, I tried submitting the assignment, though I was having
Yeah.
yeah on the assignment, like I was having issues send
Hello.
posting. Can you hear me, sir? I can hear you. Can
Me
you hear
too.
me?
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
okay. So first of all, I have issue submitting the assignment on the LMS uh,
Okay.
site. So, but I could submit it yesterday, but it was late around 3 a.m. So I don't know, is it going to be accepted? Because it shows on the LMS site that I submitted late and it was not graded. So I just wanted
Oh,
to ask.
that's not a problem.
Hmm?
Okay, that's not a problem.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay,
It has not been graded because I have not graded it. So,
okay. And it shows that I submitted late, so I just needed to just tell you the reason why I submitted late.
okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Mm, so,
Okay, do we have everybody here now? Amen.
Idris, sorry, I was in another class. Good morning, everyone. So, if this is your first time joining the class, I think Usman, good morning. This is your first time joining the class. Please send your name, phone number, and email address to the chat box right now. Please, I need it now. So you can be added to the Slack channel. And also, register into lms.become.mission. So you will have access to the assignment and also access to where you will submit the assignment that have been given from the first intersection to the next intersection. So please, Usman, send your name, phone number, and email address to the chat box. And also before the class starts, register into lms.income.net and create an account. And if you haven't yet created, please let me know. And I think so far no one has had any issue with the LMS platform because I've added everyone. Let me see. Yeah. I've added everyone to the LMS platform. So by now, most of you should have submitted your assignments with LMS. So if you're having any difficulties about the assignment, please let your facilitator know about that. And yeah, think that's all from me. So you can continue with the class, please.
All right. So okay. Um, um, okay. So today we'll be talking about a few things. Talking about one of the very basic concepts. So the very first thing, Michael. Okay, you can speak.
Sir, can Mr. Israel mute his mic? I guess the noise is coming from him.
Okay, Mr. Israel, can you please mute your mic? All right, is this better now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm
Um,
sorry, I'm sorry. I realized that Israel is just coming to the class too. And your phone number is Usman. I need your phone number too. Mr. Israel, please. This is your first time joining the class because I realize your name is not on my sheet. Please send your name, phone number, and email address to the chat box. Please send it now.
all right. So today we'll be talking about a few things, right? First off, we'll be doing we're talking about data types, all right? So when we talk about data types, basically we are referring to different forms in which we pass in information to in Python, or different forms of data, okay, in Python. So when you talk about data types, majorly we are talking about are you giving me a string? Are you giving me a number? Are you giving me an integer? Are you giving me a float, something that has decimal? Okay. Then we'll talk about other things like lists. Is it a list? Are you giving me a list of items as data? Are you giving me a dictionary? Are you giving me tuples? Are you giving me what on other things? Now, the reason why we have these various data types is because they enable us to be able to do some things easier or some things easily. Now, imagine you like, let's say for a list. With a list, you can always give somebody a list of items. You can always sort those items easily, so you know that you are passing, okay, each of these things in a list, so there's no need to start maybe typing it out one by one. It's already in a list, okay. And these different data types have has different things they do, and they are specialized for doing different kind of things, okay. So we'll be going over through each of them, and we'll be going through some of their functionalities or some of their attributes or methods or some cool things we can do with each of these data types. Okay. For this class, I'm very sure in the first contact session you worked with the IDLE, that's the integrated development interface, right? Okay, let me share my screen and refer to show you what I'm. Okay, can we see my screen? Hello, is my screen visible? All right. So yeah, so this is what I'm referring to as the IDLE.
Sorry, good morning, everyone. Please, can anybody hear me now?
I can hear you, Mr. Israel.
Okay, thank you so much. I've been having challenges. Thank
Okay,
you.
so yeah. All right. So so can we see this? So this is what I'm referring to as the IDLE. Okay. So I'm saying that I believe this was what the facilitator used in the last class, right? Mr. Israel, I need you to mute your mic.
Yes, I've muted it. Okay.
All right, this is the IDLE. Okay. But for this lesson, I'm going to be using a code editor. There are several ones: PyCharm, VS Code, Atom. I have a few of them. So I have PyCharm here. VS Code also should be down here. I also have Atom. I have Sublime Text. Okay, so you are free to use whatever you want or whatever you are comfortable with. I'll use a bit of the IDLE for now, but later on I'm going to switch up to Python. Is that okay? Hello, is that fine? All right. Okay. So, also going to be making use of resources online. So we'll be doing using tutorials points for the lesson. I'll be explaining some of these things. So it's tutorials point is a very great resource. I'm sure it's in part of the resources in your curriculum. Tutorial Sport is a great place to start off or to learn for beginners. Okay, you can always come to Tutorial Sport. There's another one that is very nice, Real Python. I refer to it a lot. I refer to Real Python a lot. Real Python is very cool. There are a lot of beginner tutorials, intermediate level tutorials, advanced level tutorials on Real Python. This is how Real Python is like. Okay. Then we also make use of W3 schools. Yes, so basically for our classes, we'll probably be having an interplay with one or more of these resources at once to help us understand the concepts. Okay. I think there should be one more that I refer to. Yes, Geek for Geeks. One reason I'm showing you this is when you are learning on your own, you can always refer to some of these sites to learn to help you understand the concept. Okay, so you can't necessarily just figure it out on your own all the time. You have to read, you have to watch tutorials, you have to go through documentations, you have to ask questions, you need to interact with your classmates and all. So let me just type them out in case I want to go through them later. The schools. Um, Geek for Geek. Is it Geek for Geeks? Yeah, Geek for Geeks. Geeks for Geeks and Real Python. Okay, all right. So we have that. So you can make use of that later on. So let's start off with something very simple. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the string. So what is a string? If you've okay, so let me type out something out for you, and let me just say type. So type is a Python function, and let me type something in there and just say wisdom. And it, it's telling us something is a class, okay, and it is str. So str stands for string. So before I move on, the facilitator talk about variables in the last class. Hello,
No, no, sir.
at all. Okay, so all right. So let me quickly explain what variables are to you, so that to make our work easier. So variables are like boxes, okay, and in our boxes or containers, yeah, let me use containers. Containers is the more appropriate term. So containers, and we use those containers to store items. Okay, so you can have a bottle, it's a container. You can have water in that container. You can have Fanta. You can have whatever drink, whatever soft drink. Even in a bottle, you can keep maybe sugar in it, for instance. Okay, you can keep whatever it is inside the container. Now, the container itself is not important. The content is what matters, right? So So you can name your container anything depending on what you put inside. So you can call it a bottle of water, a bottle of sugar, a bottle of palm wine, a bottle of um, Fanta, a bottle of Coke, a bottle of tea, or a cup of tea, or a cup of water, or a cup of wine. Okay. What is actually important is what is inside the container, okay? And you name your container based on what is inside it. Okay, so you don't put wine in a bottle and call it a bottle of water. It doesn't work that way, right? So, for instance, someone tells you to give me, oh, get me a bottle of water, and you come back with a bottle of wine. It doesn't make sense. Okay. So, what am I saying? Variables are basically containers that we use to store items. Now, it is important that you give your variable appropriate names. Okay. Now, for instance, let me say water. Okay, and I pass in 5, 6 here. Now, so basically, to call in a variable, you type in, or to give a variable name, or to create a variable, you basically type in whatever name you want to give your container, give it an equal to sign, then whatever you want to store inside comes after it. Okay, so I have water, and I'm saying water is equal to 6. Now, if I say something like print water, okay, this print function is Python. You can see that it is printing out 6 and it is not printing out water. Okay, because water is a container in this point, or I created a container and I named it water, right? And I put in the number 6 inside that container called water, right? Any questions so far? Any question so far? Any question so far? Okay. Now, moving on, the next thing we want to know is um this is actually a very terrible name to give a container. For instance, I have number 6 in my container and I titled my container water, which is terrible. You don't want to do that. For instance, someone else is reading your code and I see a variable name called water. I'm probably expecting maybe maybe something related to water, right? It may not necessarily be water, like water, but it must be something related to water. Maybe the salt level, or maybe the amount of fishes in water, or maybe describing something about water and I'm putting it in a variable water. Okay, but that is bad. But a better description of a better example of a variable name can be something like age, and I put in something like 52. Just by looking at this, you have an idea that okay, age is 52. So probably the age of somebody or the age of anything is 52. That is more descriptive, right? But it is not descriptive enough. So a better description will be my age. Let me change that to my age. So now this is a much better description of my variable. So I'm creating a container and I'm saying that the name of that container is my age. So just by looking at it, you can say, okay, the owner of this code, or whosoever is using this code, or whosoever is using this function is 52 years old, right? So basically, this is how we work with variable names. Now, if I do something like type, okay, and say water, right, you can see that it's telling me that it is int. So int stands for integer. Okay, int equal to integer. So that's the meaning. This is how to spell integer. I think it's, yeah. I think it's the correct spelling. Okay, integer, right? Now you notice that it is not actually saying type water, it is not actually concerned with the container, it is actually concerned with what is inside the container. And since we put in 6 into that container, it is going to say, okay, whatever is inside the container is an integer, right? Now, so let's clear that out and let's start working with data types now. Any question regarding this from anybody? Any question from anybody regarding what I just explained? Is it clear to everybody? Israel, Michael, um, everybody, Leonard, Usman, everybody? Okay, all right, it's cool. So, one thing to is always try and give responses when I ask, so that I know that everybody is coming along, right? So that I know I'm not losing anybody at any point. Okay, so moving on to the next thing. Okay, yes, one more thing I need to specify. Now, when you write variable names, it's important that you follow some convention. So you can do my age is allowed. You can do my age, underscore my age is allowed. You cannot do this. And you see that it's giving me an error. So when you are making variable names, you don't create spaces in between. Okay, so you can do my age, and do my age, it doesn't matter. Then know that variable names are case sensitive, or so if it is a capital letter and I say my age, for instance, equal to 8, and I say print out something like do something like my age, it's probably going to tell me that it does not exist. Okay, so it is case sensitive, right? So you have to make sure that whatever you are typing as a variable name is the same as probably when you are referring to that variable name at some other point. Okay, it's case sensitive. Then another thing is make your variable names as descriptive as you can. Okay, don't just do something like number. Something that happens a lot with developers. I also do it a lot, which is very bad. Don't just say something like number 25, and someone is like, "What's this number 25? Like, what does it do?" So always have your variable names as descriptive as possible, even though it is quite long. Okay, you can say user age is better. Okay, so you know that whatever is using it is somebody's user or the age or whatsoever, right? So always try to make your variable names as descriptive as possible. You probably will not be the only person using your code later on. Okay, so I think that's with that. So let's go on to the next thing. Um, okay, let's see if my screen is working. Okay, so show more lights. All right. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do now is to, so let me create a variable, say my name, system. Now, when it comes to, okay, I'll show you that now. When it comes to strings, now, how do we write strings? It's very simple. To create a string or to create the class, the data type string, basically what you do is you put it in quotations and you type whatever you want to type in between. Okay, and I just do that now. If I say my name, for instance, equal to wisdom, I'm going to get an error. Can you see that it is saying wisdom is not defined? Because left to Python, once it is not in quotation, it is going to assume that my wisdom here, okay, is also another container on its own. Do we understand? Hello? So yeah, thank you. So it is going to assume that this wisdom that is not in quotation is another container on its own. And because I have not created a container called wisdom, I'm going to get an error. Okay. Now let's create a container called wisdom. So just plain a variable name, and I say Isaac. Now, if I do something like this, my name, the wisdom. It's not going to print the doings. Now let me print out what my name is. See, now it's going to say Isaac. So basically, what I just told Python to do is okay, make change the content of my name to Isaac and not to wisdom. Okay. Now this is the problem. You don't want to make this kind of mistake. So there's a difference between. Okay, I'm going to show you that now. So let me change my name back to wisdom. Yeah, wisdom. I see my name. So we're back to wisdom. Now, if I say my name, for instance, yeah, wisdom, and I say it's equal to wisdom. Okay. Yeah, so it is telling me false. So the difference between a single equal to and a double equation sign is that the single one will try to replace or try to fill in what is on the left with whatever is on the right. Okay, or you're assigning whatever is on the right to the whatever is on the left. While for the double equation sign is going to compare if those two things are the same. So that's why I'm getting false as my answer. So you get used to these conventions. Any question as regarding that? Any question? Is it clear? Okay, no response. So let me move on. So my name is Wisdom. All right. Okay. Okay, my name is Wisdom. Now, so let's start talking about what can we do with my name. Now, Python has a way of numbering. So Python has something called a number system. Okay. Now, in that number system, it starts from zero. Okay, the number system starts from zero. So the very first item in whatever kind of data type is zero. Okay, that's the number system. So it counts from zero, one, two, three, four, five. So if you have a six-letter word, so the last letter is going to be having an index of five or a position of five. Okay, now I'm going to show you what I mean. My name, and I'm going to print one. Now you can see that it is returning letter I. Can you see that? Okay. I think I'm going to switch. I think I'm going to switch now. So let me make use of Python. All right. Can we see this? Can we see? Okay. I think my screen is visible. Okay. So this is what I am referring to the Python as Python. Okay. So I'm going to say my name. Uh, it's wisdom. Okay. So I can use other commands, and I'm going to say print my name. And I'm just going to say one. If I run this, okay, if I run this guy, so it is going to return to me I. Okay, which shows you that I is actually in the number numbering system. We say one, two, three. So I is actually the second. So it's meaning that this number system starts from zero. So if I print out zero, if I change that to zero, say one. So basically, what we call this is this numbering system is probably what we call indexing and or splicing. Um, yeah, splicing. Okay, so I can go from position zero, okay, splicing, position four, and it's just going to print out the first four letters, so zero, one, two, three. So it's going to stop at the fourth index. So basically, this zero acts as a start point, okay, and the other one acts as an end point, okay, or stop. Let me use stop. The end point can mean something else. Stop. Okay. So when it goes 0, 1, 2, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, basically O is number 4. Because Python recognizes O as a 4 or as a endpoint or as a stop signal, it's not going to print out letter O. Okay, it's just going to stop right there. But the amazing feature is, let me do this for you. Now you can see the same thing with position 5. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's make this a 6. And it's going to say wisdom. Okay, so you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then because this is outside, it's going to say 6. If I make it 7, it's going to tell you that I'm out of range. It's just going to keep printing out wisdom. Let's say 10. I'm actually out of range already. So it's a funny behavior. Let me just click this and it's going to give me an error. So yeah, so out of range. Okay. So another thing we can also do right now is to do a negative indexing. So it's going to start from behind. So it's going to start from M, right? And do 0 and do for, wait, yeah. The, the negative index works that way. Then another thing we can do is we can also check the length of a string. Okay. Now, if I check the length of the string, so it's telling me that it is 6, okay, about 6 letters and all of that. So these are some of the things we can do with strings. So let me refer to tutorials point at this time. Any questions so far? Any question so far? Any option? Is everything clear?
No question.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much. Uh, so let's go through tutorial. Do I have a question? No questions. Okay, thank you. All right. So let me go through tutorials point and let's walk through tutorials point together. Okay. Now, strings are the most popular types in Python. We create them by simply exposing them in quotes, okay, quotations. Creating strings is as simple as one, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and I've showed you this assigning values to string. Python does not support the character type, but these are treated as strings and of single length, thus considered a substring. Okay, to access substrings, use the square brackets for slicing along with index or indices to obtain your substring. So we can do print variable. Okay, so we have variable 1 or 0, you get h. Okay, and when you check variable 2 and you go from 1 to 5, it's going to just print out y down to the last position. Okay, so to update your strings, you can actually update the values of a string by basically playing around. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we have hello world. Okay, so let me do this for you. Okay, let's make a screen bigger. Okay. So basically, what I'll do now is to say, let me do a new name. Okay, let's assume that a user filled in his name, and you want to you have an auto generator that helps you to create a username from the person's name, okay, and surname. So let me say surname. Let me see this, okay. So let me say username right now would be something like my name from let's say 0 to 4 plus surname. Okay, and it would be let me see -1. Okay, sorry, -1 to thing. Okay, so like print out username for instance. Let's see if we get an error or not. Okay, and okay, it just prints out wisdom. Okay, so okay, let's see why that's not working. Okay, okay, so that's why it didn't work. Okay, so let me see -1 to okay, so let's see -3 should that work fine? Let me just say -1. Okay. All right. So let me just do -3. Yeah. So let's do this. And okay. So we've created a new username. So that way we can create a new username. Another thing we can actually do right now is to change the value of my name this way. Okay. And once I do my name, so basically this is the concept with update of strings. I print out my name, it's just going to give me the same result. Okay, so my name is no longer wisdom, it is now with IR. Okay, IDR, right. Okay, so that way we can always update. This is the actually idea of update. The other time I use username is more like creating a new variable content expressly, but I can always update my string this way. Okay, now one thing is I need to show you is what you can't do with strings. Okay, is that covered here? There are a few things you can't do with strings. Let me tell you how much time we have. Data types, and we'll come to that later on. Okay, we'll come to that later on. But is there any question so far? Any questions so far? Or we should move on to the next thing. Any question?
No, sir. I'm fine, sir. I don't know. We are fine, I guess.
No question.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much. So let's talk about this, for instance. On say list, let me create a list of names of students. Okay, names of students, and basically to create a list, you just have to have create a square bracket and pass in whatever you want to pass in there. So I can say wisdom. Say wisdom. I can say okay. So let's go together. Israel. Israel. Let's go. Okay, this E before E. I can say Michael. Let's see if I have that right. Okay, I have this Michael right. Oh no, I don't have Michael right. I have Leonard. I have Josephine. Yeah, but the spelling. I have Usman. Okay. So we have a list of students. So let's just check what type of data we have. We have name students, and let's see what we have. Now you can see that it is telling us that this is a list. Okay, so basically what it's doing is the collective container called names of students is actually containing a list. Now, if I do that, I want to get one item, or the first item is going to give me a string. It's telling me that I have a string present in my list, right? Okay, but generally we are working with a list. So basically, a list is just in layman terms, okay, is basically what you call a list in real life. Got a list of items, a list of values, a list of oh, my screen does not look like how it's looking on my page. Okay, all right. I think it's better now. Okay, let's come to this. Okay. So the most basic data structure in Python is the sequence or a list. Each element of the sequence is assigned a number, its position or index. The first index is 0, second index is 1, and so forth. Just like the way we saw with strings. Python has 6 built-in types of sequences. The most common ones are the list and tuples. Now, there are certain things you can do with sequence types and operations such as indexing, slicing, adding, multiplying, checking for membership. In addition, Python has built functions for finding the length of the sequence, for finding its largest and smallest elements. Okay, so since we have just words, we might not be able to check the max or the minimum. Okay, so the next thing we can do is to see what happens, just like we did with strings. Okay, we can access each of the elements in our list. Yeah, I do a one. Okay, So you can see it's telling me here if I do a 2, it's going to give me if I try something like this, it's going to give me, it's going to take Michael, for instance, and it's going to get the second um, 01. Okay, so it's going to get C for us in Michael, right? If I do, okay, let me just make it the 0 so that you can see what I'm saying. So it's just going to get Michael and it's going to print out this. Now, if you notice that the behavior here is quite different from the behavior we had in strings. For instance, when I type in 2, okay, so yeah, it's the same behavior. So if I do 2, for instance, it's just going to print out MI. Okay, so this one way to play with this slice, and some of these things is going to come in handy a whole lot later on. But the major thing is we have to get each element in yeah. So I can also do Michael in students. So let's see. Okay, let me put this. Not going to work. So yeah, Michael is present in students. So if I say wisdom, okay, let me check amen. If amen is present, amen is false. Another thing you should know too is that this is also case sensitive, I'm sure. So you can see once I change capital letter, change wisdom to the first letter to caps, it's going to tell me it's false. So this is also it's case sensitive. So if I do dot is I think that is lower, right? I think I should get it. This does not have okay. All right, so this does not have that method. Okay, let's see what happens if I do that. All right, so that's something we'll do later on. So this does not have this method. It's probably for something else. Okay, well, let's go on. So false, and so you can keep playing and checking if other things are inside our list. Um, so we have true. Okay. So the next thing we can also do is to print out our names of students and just do a little bit of slicing. Here I can say from 0 to 4. Just going to print out Wisdom, Israel, Michael, and Leonard, right? If I do the length, what's the length of my list? Yeah, okay, we can have 6. All right. Another thing we can do is we can replace elements in our list. For instance, I can say names of students. C0 is equal to is normal wisdom. Wisdom probably is expelled, so I can say James. If I print out names of students, I can see that wisdom is no longer there. We have just James. Okay. Another thing we can do is to multiply our list by 5. Okay, let's just make it 5 too much. And it's just going to duplicate this list. Okay, so you can see it's just going to do James to Josephine to Usman, then go again and give us James again to Usman. It's just going to multiply or duplicate the list as many times as possible. Another thing is we can append items to our list. So if I do dot something, so append is a method for list. So the append, and I can say James right now, and we'll see that James is going to be added to the end of our list, and wisdom is going to return. All right, so you can see James right there and say wisdom. So let me do another thing we can do with list. Let's say I have names of students. Okay, I say newly registered students registered. Okay, and I can just say Isaac, Isaac, Kola, and Peters. Okay, let me just get rid of this now. Okay, so I can do something like dot extend, okay, and I can just say newly registered. And what happens is you can see that Isaac, Kola, and Peters has been added to this list. So basically, what I'm saying here is, if you have another list and you basically want to add add up this list right here to this point, is going to work out. Any questions? Questions from anybody? Any questions? Okay, thank you. All right, so we've seen updating list. Okay, so let's see how to delete our list. Okay, or delete an item in our list. So basically, what we can do now is to let's attempt to delete. Okay, there's a pop method, so I can pop out wisdom. Okay, sorry, should have 0. All right, so you can see Israel, Michael, Leonard, and all of that, and wisdom is out. So when you use the pop, use the method, okay, or use the index. So we can say Israel is off. And we can also delete an item in a list. So if I say delete name students and I do maybe 0, it's just going to take out wisdom. Now you don't have to do something like this, and you're probably going to just get rid of the entire. So it's the same names of students is not defined. So you have deleted the entire list once you don't pass in an index. Okay. Now another thing to note is the pop method. Pop should automatically work even though we don't pass in an index. So what happens is the pop method is just going to remove the last item of the list when you don't pass in an index. Okay, so let's say you want to keep removing elements from the end of your list, okay, and the last element in your list, you can just quickly use a pop. Okay, so a pop will just remove the last element, even though you don't pass in an index. But once you specify the index you want to pass in, it's going to target just that one. So we can see that Josephine is out of this list and Usman is back. Okay, I think that's that for now, or that's the basic you need to know when it comes to list. Okay, is there any question? Is this
No
clear to you?
question.
Yes.
It is
Sorry,
clear.
sorry, sir. Hello, sir.
I can meet you.
Yeah, okay. So now the name of student dot pop. So you said we can use it to remove the last item from the list of should I use word? So now,
Yeah.
for instance, assuming you want to remove the first item from the list, but you make use of maybe pop and like an array function like that,
Yes, I
array
use pop
with
and I passed in the index. So when I want to pass in,
okay index.
yes. So once I want to
Okay,
target a particular element, okay, or target
okay,
something at a particular position, I have to pass in the index. Do you understand? But I'm saying that
okay,
by
okay.
default, when you
By
don't
default,
pass
okay,
an
okay.
index, it will automatically just do remove the last item in the
Oh,
list.
okay. I understand, sir. All right.
All
Thanks.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So let's move on to the next one. I actually find okay, no, not okay. Let's do tuples. So yes, thank you. So one thing you should know about data types is we have something called, I should have said this at the beginning. immutable and mutable. Okay, simpler English: unchangeable and changeable. Okay, so some data types are allows you to do changes. Okay, while some data types do not allow you to do changes. Now let me do something quickly. So let me go back to our string. Okay, and say my name, which is that, and I say do something like this. My name, yeah, is about to I. Right, so I'm not getting an error anymore. I'm saying my name. Let's see what happens. All right. So you can see I'm getting an error. Can we see this error? Okay, it's visible on my head. So now this is the idea. When we say immutable and mutable, now some data types do not allow you to change your elements in between, or elements change attributes of that data type, okay, by assigning maybe a different value to them. So basically what I just attempted to do was I wanted to change the first letter of this string, or the first element of this string to I, and it is telling me that the string class or the string data type does not support an item assignment. So we can say that the string falls into the category um, of the immutable data type. Okay, though I can do something like um, for instance. So it's just basically what it's going to do is to okay, let me just say 0 um, 2, 2, 4. Actually, to a okay plus okay, so it is not okay. Okay, I know why that is that. Um, okay, let me just copy all of this here and just do be in here. You can see wisdom. You can see that it is looking different now. So it's going to allow me to do this because right now I'm basically just combining something to it. But to remove an item and replace it, it's not going to let me do that. Okay. So string falls into the category of the immutable data type. Now, if you compare this to our list, for instance, and I do something like I did this before, but so that we can just see it again. It's equal to this, for instance. We will see that wisdom is no longer part of this list. Wisdom has been replaced. So the lists are actually kind of mutable. Okay, right? Let me say strings mutable. So we'll just keep noting them out like that. Any question? Do we understand what I just explained? Hello? Yeah, this is sorry. Is it clear? Mr. Michael, Mr. Israel, Mr. Leonard, um, Mr. Usman, Osinachi. Is it clear?
Yes, sir, it's
Yes,
clear.
sir, it is clear.
So moving on. Sorry. So let's move on to the next data type, which is tuple. So the first thing to know about tuples are or is that tuple is also immutable. Okay. So tuple will not allow you to have item assignment. So a main difference between tuples and lists is that tuple is not mutable or it is not changeable, and tuple make use of um, normal brackets instead of square brackets. So if I just want to change this to tuple, I can do this. Okay, let's go there. Okay, and so we're printing name of students. Okay, yeah. I think the handler bracket here. No, that yeah. The print name of students is going to work fine. So if I check for the type, for instance, right, we're going to get a TUP. So yeah, you can see that we have a tuple class right now. So the tuple. So basically, we can also check for items in our tuple, same way we did with others. I say 0 is going to print. Do I want before? Let me get up before. It's just going to print it of them out like that. And the same way we can pop out items. I can say name of students. Let's see if we'll do a pop. Pop will work. Um, okay, the tuple does not have any attribute pop. So basically, we're already seeing that there are some things you can do with some data types, and there are some things you cannot do with some data types. So a tuple will not allow you to use the pop method. So let's try the delete instead. Rename the student, and let me just target the first one. The first one. Let's see. Tuple does not support item deletion. Okay, so just like that. So we are saying that tuple does not allow changes. So once you've stored something in a tuple, it doesn't want you to remove it. Okay, that's the essence of using a tuples for something you don't expect to change, or if you are having something or you're building a script that you do not want to change, you want to use a tuple to do that. But at the same time, you have to be careful. Okay, if you use a tuple for something that is not a tuple, it's not going to work. Or if you use a tuple for something that you probably want to change later, or something that is going to change as maybe something happens along in your code, um, it's not going to work. So if you check to delete, removing individual tuple elements is not possible, which is what we just experimented, and we see that it did not work. But there is nothing wrong with deleting the entire tuple altogether, and you can just create another tuple as you need. So to update tuples are immutable, which means you cannot, okay, you cannot change or update the values of tuple elements. We also saw that, okay. So when you do something like this, it's not going to work. But you can create a new tuple by combining two tuples that you've used before. So you can do tuple one plus tuple two, and you will just join them up together. And we can access that and that. So these are the basic things you need to know about tuples. When you have much time, you can come here, you read concatenation, which is the plus sign. It showed us that with strings. You can do a repetition, multiply the items in the list. You can check whether um, a particular element is present in the list. This is a for loop. We are not yet there in our curriculum, so we will do that much later on. So we can do indexing, we can check for the position of all of that. So you can check the length, you can check the is there any question? Please tell me my network is looking back. Any question? Any question?
No questions, sir.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Hey.
Hello, I can't hear anything.